right, hello Harlem. So Mrs. Abruzzo's advisory class is here to give you some information on SAT, the math test specifically. So let's start with some general information. What questions do you guys have about the SAT math test? Anybody? What is a good score? We'll address that. What else?
Can I use my calculator?
Can you use your calculator? Oh, things to think about. We'll let you know in a minute.
What does it look like?
What does the test look like? These are things we need to think about. Absolutely. Anything else, guys?
What's on it? Can we have answers?
Can we have answers? Not today. What's on it? Is that what you asked me?
Yeah.
That's actually a really loaded question, but yeah, what's on it? We'll probably address that in the next video, but for now, let's talk about the look of the test. So, the first question that brought up, what was a good score? Now, this chart doesn't tell you what is a good score, but I kind of marked on here for you. A good score in math is at least a 550, so let's kind of overshoot that and say we want to be on this row here. So what this chart is telling you is not how many questions you have to get correct, but how many questions you have to like validly attempt. So whenever kids are taking standardized tests, they ask me, okay, so do I have to answer every single question? Well, the answer to that is you should answer every single question, but there will be a slight moment on your test where you just give up on life. You ever have that moment where you give up on life?
Several times.
On a math test, maybe more often than not. So with our target score of at least a 550 in math, it looks here like we can skip a handful of questions on the calculator section and a handful of questions, a little less than that, on the no calculator section as well. Which brings me to the question that someone else asked about, can I use my calculator? Well, yes and no. So the first part of your math test is no calculator, and this is what the answer sheet will look like. It is 20 questions, 20 questions, and you get, if I look ahead in the booklet, you get 25 minutes to answer all 20 of those questions. Did I just say that backwards? 20 questions in 25 minutes. So that's actually quite a bit of time. However, remember, this is no calculator. So how do we attack this test, guys? You have to answer all 20 of these in 25 minutes. So does that mean we start at number 1?
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Why?
Because you can guess on multiple choice.
Ah, very good. You can guess on multiple choice if you run out of time. So instead, you should flip all the way to number 16, which is the beginning of what's called your gridded response. Okay, so remember, no calculator. You got to answer your math question. We'll come back and actually answer math questions in another video. But let's talk about how you answer gridded response. This is straight out of a SAT practice booklet, but it's showing you if your answer to a question was 8 over 9, SAT is going to accept a bubble of 8 divided by 9. It'll accept a 0.888, and it'll also accept a 0.889. It's going to view all of those answers as correct. But we want to caution you that if you do your work and you get something that's called a mixed number, like 1.5, you cannot enter 1.5 the way it looks. You have to enter it as a decimal or what's called an improper fraction. So watch out for those. So I agree with you guys. You should start at the gridded response section. Answer those few questions, and then you're going to come back to the multiple choice questions. So let's say, worst case scenario, you're at the end of the test time. You have about 1 minute left, and you never got to questions 18, 19, and 20. Or 18 and 19, let's say. Should you leave them blank, or should you throw in a guess? You always throw in a guess. Very good. Never leave anything blank. Very, very good. All right. So then the next portion of the test. This is the calculator portion of the test. It is 38 questions, and you get 55 minutes to answer those questions, guys. That is a lot of time. So, yes, very long test. Kids do not typically run out of time on this part, so don't panic. But I still have the same question for you. Should you start at number 1? No, absolutely not. You jump ahead to number 31, which is... All right, guys, so that is the look of the math SAT test. It is technically in 2 parts, half of it non-calculator, half of it calculator. One significantly larger than the other part, but all of the points go towards your score. Thanks.